In the final top 25 video. So for the teams that I did pick to make the college football playoff, I put my final record predictions on here for them. But the teams that I picked not to make the college football playoff, I just put my regular season record predictions for them on here because I didn't do other bowl predictions. So I've got Ohio State at number one at 15-1 because I have them winning the national championship. And I don't just have them doing that because of the opponents I have them playing in the playoff games. I actually think Ohio State's the best team in the country. And if Will Howard can play like CJ Stroud did, I think Ohio State could be like LSU was in 2019 and go 16 and 0 and dominate everybody pretty much. Because even though CJ Stroud wasn't as good as Joe Burrow was at LSU, LSU didn't have the defense that Ohio State is going to have in 2019. So number two, I've got Georgia at 14-2 because I have them being the team that Ohio State beats, and the team that loses the national championship is really pretty much always the number two team. And I'm picking Ohio State to beat Georgia, going by that Will Howard plays just as good as he did at Kansas State. So number three, I've got Oregon and four Ole Miss, both at 14-2. And like I said in the playoff predictions video, even though Ole Miss and Oregon both have the same record, and Ole Miss is in the SEC, which is a better conference than the Big Ten, I think Oregon would be ahead of them because I think they would have been the more dominant team. And then I've got Texas at five at 12-2, ahead of Oklahoma State at six at 12-2 because Texas I think would have been the more dominant team and they would have played an SEC schedule. Oklahoma State, even though I think they're going to be really good, I do think they will have a lot of close games this season. And then number seven, Utah at 12-3, and eight, Miami 11-3. So I've got Utah ahead of Miami, even though I've got Miami being a conference champion, because at Utah I have having more impressive wins than Miami does. Miami, I don't have getting any really impressive wins this season. And then I've got Michigan at 9-3, ahead of USC at 10 at 11-2. Not because I think Michigan is actually the ninth best team. If I was just gonna rank the teams going by how good they are, Michigan would for sure be out of my top 10. But because I have a USC going 11-1 and losing in the college football playoff, I put Michigan ahead of them because I have Michigan being the team in the regular season to beat USC. And the three losses I have Michigan getting all come to teams that I have inside of my top five. And then at 11, I've got Texas A&M at 10-3, who I have making the college football playoff and then losing in a rematch to Texas. Ahead of LSU, who I've got at 12 at 9-3, because I've got Texas A&M beating LSU in the regular season, and I've got Oklahoma at 13 and Alabama at 14, both at 9-3. Because I have LSU beating Oklahoma and Alabama in the regular season, and I've got Oklahoma ahead of Alabama because I have them beating Alabama in the regular season. But actually, I think that Alabama is a better team than Texas A&M, LSU, and Oklahoma. And I think Oklahoma is a better team than Texas A&M and LSU. I just picked LSU to beat those two teams because it's going to be played at LSU, and you know how tough it is to win uh, at the Swamp. Uh, but if Alabama played any of the teams that I have on here other than my top five on a neutral field. I think they would win. If I was just going to rank the teams going by how good I think each team is, Alabama would be number six. So I put Notre Dame at 15, at 10-2, below the 9-3 SEC teams, because the Notre Dame schedule is so easy this year. I only have them getting one good win coming against Florida State, but their other two tough games on their schedule, I have them losing. So I've got Kansas State at 16, at 10-3. So I have them making the college football playoff and losing their first playoff game. But I have them staying ahead of Missouri, who's at 17, at 9-3, because even though Missouri is SEC, their schedule isn't very hard. And going by my predictions, they wouldn't have any good wins. And Kansas State, I have getting a win over Oklahoma State. And then at Tennessee, I've got them 18 at 9-3. So even though Tennessee has a tougher schedule than Missouri does, and they have the same record, Tennessee's three toughest games are the three losses I have them getting. And I think that Missouri is a little bit better of a team than Tennessee is. And I've got Florida State at 9-3 at number 19, and Virginia Tech and SMU at 20 and 21, both at 10-2. So even though SMU and Virginia Tech both have better records going by my predictions than Florida State would, and they're in the same conference, I have Florida State ahead of them because Virginia Tech and SMU both play so easy schedules this year. And I actually have Florida State getting a win over SMU. So at 22 and 23, I've got West Virginia and Wisconsin both at 9-3, ahead of Penn State, who I've got at 24 at 8-4, because I have West Virginia and Wisconsin both beating Penn State, and I have West Virginia ahead of Wisconsin, uh, even though they have the same record, and Wisconsin is now probably in a better conference than West Virginia, because I think West Virginia is the better team, and they would have more good wins than Wisconsin would, going by my predictions. And Penn State, I have it at 24, not because I think that they're just the 24th best team. I think they would be a lot higher than that if I was just going to rank the teams by how good they are. It's because of how the schedule works out. And for 25th, it came down for me to Iowa State and Kansas, who I both have at 9-3. But I chose Iowa State because I have them getting the win over Kansas. And I think Penn State would be ahead of Iowa State, even though they would have a lower record because of how my predictions worked out. I have Penn State only getting 8 wins, but I have them getting 8 dominant wins. And Iowa State, I think even though they'll get 9 wins, I have them getting a bunch of close wins, most likely. And one of Penn State's losses, comes against Ohio State, which is the best team in the country. Uh, but that will be it with this video, and please subscribe, and thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.